This is Matthew Cratter from Bitcoin University. Today I want to talk about the SEC about to sue Ethereum. Over the past few months, people have been talking about whether the SEC would approve an Ethereum ETF. I made a video back on January 30th in which I said that it was quite unlikely that the SEC would approve an Ethereum ETF. Not only was there a political calculation being taken by the SEC chair, Gary Gensler, but as I mentioned in the description notes here, ETH clearly passes the Howey test and as such should be considered an unregistered security. And when you see these arguments online, people saying there are no material differences between ETH and Bitcoin, especially when it comes to an ETF approval. There are huge differences, obviously, not just in the way the protocol is constructed, but also in terms of the premine. Bitcoin did not have a premine. Ethereum had a large 72 million premine. Ethereum has no maximum total supply, whereas Bitcoin does have a maximum total supply. So these are completely different animals. And we're now seeing the SEC delaying making a decision on these ETH ETFs, pushing out the timeline. And it's now looking extremely unlikely that any of these will be approved by the May deadline. And now even ETH influencers like Ryan Sean Adams are waking up to this. You know, I'm bullish but nightmare scenario. Imagine if instead of delivering an Ethereum ETF, Gensler delivers a lawsuit against the Ethereum Foundation claiming ETH as a security. Okay, I'll delete this tweet now. In fact, it looks like that is what is happening, that Ethereum and the Ethereum Foundation are about to be sued. This was something I predicted back in September of 2022, in which I discussed in the wake of the merge when Ethereum moved from proof of work to proof of stake, that in the process it may have inadvertently turned itself into a security. And then Gary Gensler came out not even 24 hours after this move from proof of work to proof of stake. Gary Gensler came out on TV swinging, reminding people that staking rewards look a lot like interest income or dividends, thus implying that he thought that Ethereum was a security. And people even made articles like this: proof of security, proof of stake means proof of security. When people say that Ethereum is not a security but rather a commodity instead, the proper questions to ask are these: what kind of commodity comes with a 70% premine? What kind of commodity has its own special foundation, the Ethereum Foundation, that was funded and continues to be funded by that premine? What kind of commodity changes its monetary policy after 7 years, as Ethereum did in 2022 when it moved from proof of work to proof of stake, changing your complete consensus mechanism and your deepest essence? This is something that oil, gold, and corn never did. Those are commodities. Bitcoin has never changed its consensus, and Bitcoin is thus a digital commodity. It also had no premine. It doesn't have a living founder like Ethereum does with Vitalik, etc., or at least I should say an active founder. We don't know whether Satoshi is alive or dead. If you're enjoying this video so far, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. Especially subscribing to this channel can really help with my engagement and reach on the YouTube algorithm. So Ethereum moved to proof of stake and now has a yield that also looks a lot like a security. What kind of commodity has its own built-in yield? None of them, in fact, do. How can ETH be a digital commodity if these things are true? Answer: it cannot. ETH passes the Howey test and is thus an unregistered security. If you want to be a commodity, you have to fail the Howey test, which is a securities test in the US. In the US, the deepest capital markets in the world, you cannot build an ETF out of unregistered securities, as far as I can tell. The issue of the securities, in this case, the Ethereum Foundation, various Ethereum shell companies and insiders would first need to register with the SEC and make tons of disclosures, just like you would if you're taking a company public, make tons of disclosures about conflicts of interest, insider holdings, a laundry list of risk factors when it comes to Ethereum. Then they could register at the SEC and possibly have an ETF. Do you want to guess why Ethereum hasn't done this yet, why they haven't registered with the SEC? Could it be because Joe Lubin, one of the co-founders of Ethereum, also controls much of the Ethereum network's infrastructure through his node company Infura and his wallet company MetaMask? These are both children company in the consensus umbrella. There seem to be some real conflicts of interest here, and who knows what else is being kept from the public. So now it looks like that's the necessary background. Now it looks like the SEC is going after Ethereum. The Ethereum Foundation, which is based in Switzerland, has received a confidential inquiry from a state authority. And as part of this, they removed what they call the warrant canary, which is this bird on the website. And if it gets removed, you know that they have been served with a warrant, and they are being gagged as well, so they can't talk about it. This article from Fortune then came out yesterday. SEC probing crypto companies in Ethereum. Investigation as hopes for ETF dim. The SEC is waging an energetic legal campaign to classify Ethereum, the second most popular cryptocurrency, as a security, according to U.S. companies that have received subpoenas related to an investigation. Another quote, according to a person at a company who received a recent subpoena request, the SEC's probe of the Swiss-based Ethereum Foundation began shortly after the blockchain shift to a new governance model known as proof of stake. This was very apparent at the time that Ethereum, by doing this, was really shooting itself in the foot. But of course, they did it to give those premine beneficiaries more control over the protocol, because under proof of stake, unlike under proof of work, under proof of stake, having more coins gives you more control over the protocol. Another quote from that Fortune article, the proof of stake event provides the SEC with a new pretext to attempt to define Ethereum as a security. Of course, it's a security. No pretext is needed here. You just have to apply the Howey test. An attorney familiar with the situation said a Swiss regulator may have served a document request to the Ethereum Foundation and may be working with the SEC. And then he added, I also think it's fair to say the Ethereum Foundation is not the only entity that they are seeking information from, saying other overseas entities are receiving scrutiny as well. So it looks like the SEC is actively building a case against Ethereum, and I would be very surprised if we don't see a lawsuit against the Ethereum Foundation and other entities before the elections this fall. This is something that Gary Gensler is probably going to use to help to bolster his case for becoming Treasury Secretary if this administration were to be reelected. This coming lawsuit is also really bad news, needless to say, for other scammy premine proof-of-stake coins like Cardano, ADA. These, like Ethereum, went out of their way to try to have their ICOs in jurisdictions where they thought they could escape the long arm of U.S. securities regulators. So if one proof-of-stake coin gets taken down by the SEC and this precedent is set that proof-of-stake means proof of security, it'll probably be impossible for the rest of these coins to continue to be sold and traded and listed on regulated exchanges in the U.S. And again, they can go elsewhere, but it's never good to be delisted from the deepest capital markets in the world. So I would expect multiple delistings and negative price action, as these deepest pools of capital in the world can no longer invest in what become unregistered securities. Interesting quote here as well, legal source on ETH today, that the ETH ETF is DOA, dead on arrival. Crypto people wrongly think that the court defeats matter to Gary Gensler. They don't. He's happy to roll the dice and see what happens in court. He wants to go down as the cop on the beat, and going after ETH, win or lose, furthers this mission. This, of course, is an unnamed source, may or may not be true, but it does look, when you look at this constellation of factors, it really does look like a lawsuit is coming for Ethereum. And so if you're holding ETH, this is not going to be a very fun couple of years. The funny thing is, though, that ETH is doomed either way. If an ETH ETF were to be approved and everything worked out, it would be an amazing teachable moment on these differences between proof of stake and proof of work that we've been alluding to. Again, under proof of stake, having more coins gives you more control over the network. This is not true for proof of work coins like Bitcoin. Proof of stake is quite literally ruled by the rich. The more money you have, the more control you have. And this is what we're trying to escape from. An entity like BlackRock or Coinbase that controlled more ETH, thanks to its ETF sponsorship, would have more control over the network and would be inevitably forced as regulated entities, as BlackRock and Coinbase are. They'd be forced as regulated entities to impose OFAC-directed censorship on transactions. OFAC, of course, is a department of the Treasury, or an agency under the U.S. Treasury. It's the Office of Foreign Assets Control, and they're in charge, for example, of looking for transactions that they don't like. ETH is already a captured protocol. 42% of the blocks are already enforcing OFAC compliance over the last 30 days, and this has stayed fairly steady. So you have validators on the Ethereum network actively doing the bidding of the US government. Thanks to its large premine and subsequent move to proof of stake, as we said, where premine beneficiaries get to wield the largest influence, Ethereum has always been a captured coin. It will always be a captured coin thanks to its poor design, its premine, and its move to proof of stake. Remember when everyone said that Ethereum was going to flip in Bitcoin last cycle? That is looking extremely bleak as well with Bitcoin dominance. It's a bit of a fake metric, but nevertheless, Bitcoin dominance at 52%, ETH at 16.4%. Ethereum dominance has moved down over the years. I say it's a fake metric because this dominance number really includes all these stable coins like Tether, for example. When you take a look at market caps, though, there really is no second best. There is no competitor to Bitcoin. Ethereum is the second best in terms of market cap. But when you understand its fundamentals, you realize how it's not even a competitor. It's not playing the same game. And it looks like Bitcoin and Ethereum have been trading in tandem thanks to Wall Street. Over the past year or so, they both have approximately the same year-to-date returns, but expect to see a continued divergence. And Ethereum has been losing value against Bitcoin since the merge, as the market begins to understand these things and price in an SEC lawsuit, which you can be pretty sure is on its way. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the subscribe and like buttons. Hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I publish my next video. And let me know your questions and comments in the comment section below. Thanks all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.